Okay, we are going to work on some word problems using the law of the law of cosines. Now, one thing's important here. We're told to give each side measure to the nearest tenth and each angle to the nearest degree. Remember when it says to the nearest degree that really means the nearest whole number. Okay, so let's make sure that we're paying attention. Sides, nearest tenth, angles, nearest degree. Okay, so example 7. Maple Tree, Oak Drive, and West Avenue intersect to form a triangular piece of land. The angle formed by Maple Street and Oak Drive is 79. Okay, now before we go on, let's just stop here. This is already going to be overwhelming, so the first thing I recommend whenever doing word problems, go ahead and draw a picture. So here's my triangle, and I want to label Maple Street, so I'm going to put an M for Maple Street. Oak Drive, I don't like to use an O because it confuses me, but I'm going to, right? So this is Oak Drive, and here's West Avenue. Okay, now the angle formed by Maple Street and Oak Drive is 79, and we're going to have to assume that this is 79 degrees because they're not telling us it's radians, and that doesn't really make sense in radians. So this angle is 79 degrees. If the Maple Street section of the triangle is 139 feet, okay, so that means this side here is 300. I read that completely wrong. That's 390 feet. And the Oak Drive section is 250 feet, so this side is 250. Find the length of West Avenue. So this is what we want to find. We're going to find W. Okay, so this is a side angle side situation, which allows us to use the law of cosines. So the law of cosines relates the side opposite an angle with an equation. So what our equation will look like then is that W squared is equal to 390 squared plus 250 squared minus 2 times 390 times 250 times the cosine of 79 degrees. Now, if you've been watching any of my other videos, you'll note that you can simplify along the way. You can simplify all at one time. These are really big numbers. Really big numbers tend to scare students. So we're going to do a partial simplifying, but not every single part, right? Because 390 squared and 250 squared, those are really big numbers. So let's just simplify it this way. W squared equals, so we have our 390 squared plus 250 squared. That's going to be a big number, right? 214,600. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and write that down, but I'm also going to do something else. So I'm 214,600, right? Minus, so I'm going to do 2 times 390 times 250, also a really big number, right? So minus 195,000. Oh, and I forgot to do something. Okay. Make sure I got all the zeros. And then that number has to be multiplied by the cosine of 79 degrees. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to stow some of these numbers. So I'm going to take, well, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and type the numbers over again because I don't want to confuse you. All right, so we're going to find W. Well, W has to be the square root of this whole mess up here. So 214,600 minus 195,000 times the cosine of 79 degrees. Now remember, you cannot just do the subtraction first because that 195,000 has to be multiplied by the cosine of 79. So now when I do this, I'm going to type this part in my calculator. So second x squared, that gets me my square root, 214,600 minus 195,000 cosine 79 degrees. Okay, lots of numbers there, big numbers. We find out that then the length of West Avenue is approximately, right? The 7 in the hundreds place will round the 1 in the tenths place up to a 2. So it's approximately 421.2 feet. We were given our units are in feet. So we do have to give the units for our answer. Now those are really big numbers. So if you didn't want to write down these really big numbers, you could have done the whole thing from the beginning. So second x squared to get my square root, 390 squared plus 250 squared minus 2 times 390 times 250 times the cosine of 79 degrees. So, oops. So by doing that, while I'm working with big numbers, I don't have to write all of the rest of these big numbers down. When I click enter, you can see I would get the same answer. So if you are into simplifying your work a little bit, that's what I would recommend. I've got 2 more word problems to do. We're going to get to those in the next video. I hope you come back.